Chris Ilsley on Perth Tonight.
Time to catch up with our technical man, Ben Aylett, identified by his... you jumped in too soon.
I'm sorry.
Hawaiian shirt.
But I like my Hawaiian shirts.
Yes, I know. It kind of fits you. Did you wince a bit when Barry Urquhart was talking about surfwear and older people wearing surfwear? I mean, you are
the... I wince? I wear surfwear. I'm older.
You are the trendiest person around town, I know. And then what's more, you've managed to translate your love for surf into a business uniform.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got to say, mate, I see this as a win-win-win.
That's right. Well, I'm a man on the street, I guess. And, I like to wear my Hawaiian
We've got to get your
shirts
combi van.
Well, we might have something coming up later in the show which could make it possible and even cooler than the original combi.
I think I know where we might go with this. All right. Before we go any further,
yes.
you've got some wonderful stuff to tell us about your website and newsletter, of course.
Okay, the housekeeping. So if you've got a question you don't want to call in, you can actually email your questions in, which is at mailbag@benaylett.com. That is mailbag@benaylett.com. And also you can go to benaylett.com/contact to sign up for the free cybersecurity newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter. It's free. It's about cybersecurity, and it's aimed at normal, everyday people. So you don't have to be a tech genius
to understand it.
Yeah, or even slightly technically competent. Technically competent.
It's just basic stuff that helps you out, which is all you need. Now, before we go any further, we do need to make mention of the iPhone 11.
Yes.
I have to say, I read some reviews and I read some news articles on it, and the only word that seems to fit is underwhelming. And oddly enough, once again, I know I've said this so often, it's probably a cliche, but I look at this and I remember thinking this would never have happened in Steve Jobs' day. He would have, even if he was just doing a little bit of tinkering around the edges, he would have created that wow factor somehow, some way.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is a different Apple to the Apple we, I suppose, we came to know and love with the all singing, all dancing presentations. And I know you're going to love it. And the one more thing.
Yep,
that was just the hallmark of how Apple did its presentations. And now with Tim Cook at the reins, it has taken on a slightly different look and a slightly different approach. And look, I'm not going to say it's bad. I'd say it's still good. We're still getting decent product releases. And I think they're starting to focus as well. So they don't quite have...
Is the product as good as it always was?
Oh, look, iPhone always produces a good... So the build quality is always
So what we're saying is we're still getting the same from Apple we always did.
Yep.
We're just not getting the pizzazz that Steve Jobs gave us.
Well, and that's just down to the presentation. And now looking at the product itself...
Did he demand a higher standard, though? The one impression I always had of Steve Jobs was that anything less than absolute total 100% perfection was deemed sloppy.
Well, sloppy or, just keep trying, do it again, do it again, until it's right. And look, I think that anyone who's working with Apple or working for Apple understand that attention to detail, and they understand the demands that's on them to produce the highest quality product they can. So just if Apple was to call me tomorrow and say, Ben, we want you to work on something, I would be sweating bullets because I'd be thinking, geez, I mean, forget the A game. This is a whole new level.
This is the AAA plus game.
That's it, So this is going to be bringing the absolute best out of me. Yeah, sure, build quality and the features and that sort of thing, it's all good. Not, and a lot of Android people will echo this, not super innovative with what they've been doing. So Apple have got a way of not being the first, but usually being the best when it comes to implementing technology.
I mean, one of the best examples was the de Havilland Aircraft Company of the United Kingdom v. the Boeing Aircraft Company of USA. The de Havilland Company were the first to put out a passenger jetliner.
Oh, yeah.
But they were also the ones that had all the problem, the DH-106 Comet.
Right.
That crashed as a result of metal fatigue to the point that the aircraft never recovered, and de Havilland never recovered. Later, Boeing came along with its first example of a jetliner, the Boeing 707, which was a revolutionary aircraft for its time, and it set the company up.
Yes.
I mean, it went through its tough times, sure, but there is no doubt that being first sometimes is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I also get back to our friend, what was his name? Engelbart, who designed the mouse, the computer mouse.
All right.
At the first time he designed that was in 1968.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you see,
That's right.
he came up with this idea, but nobody saw any application for it, and we were a long way from the time when people were going to have a PC in their home, we're going to have Windows, and a mouse was just going to become a standard piece of equipment.
Yep.
So here again, he is somebody who invented something that was well ahead of his time.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's a lot to be said for being second at the party.
Yep. Well, look, there's nothing wrong with not being the first when it comes to technology. As long as you do it very well and people recognise you for doing it very well, you're going to get sales. Now, let's have a talk about the actual products. So we'll start with the iPhone 11. We've got the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. None of them support 5G, so we can forget about that. We'll just wipe that off. They've all got...
Are future models liable to?
Maybe the iPhone 12 or maybe the iPhone 13.
Oh, okay. You don't think any future editions of iPhone 11 will?
No, I don't think we'll see Apple even considering 5G features within the next 12 months, and I'd be surprised if...
Why is that so?
Well, I mean, the rollout's
Is
still...
it just too new for them and they see no point?
Exactly, yeah. I think it is too new, and I mean, the actual on-the-ground benefit that you get out of a 5G handset over a 4G or an LTE handset, I mean, you can
It's
only...
negligible. I suppose if you're hooking it up for what most people will be to already 4G, and 5G won't come along for a while anyway, all they're doing is paying for a feature they're not going to be able to use.
Well, it's like you can only watch so much video so quickly, and that's the most bandwidth-hungry application we have to date. So,
okay. I see where you're going with that.
You can only watch so many frames a second, and if it's any more than 60 frames a second, you're probably not going to see much. Okay, so look, let's carry on with the details. So there's a front-facing camera on all three models. It is a 12-megapixel camera capable of shooting 4K video at up to 60 frames per second. Now, that's on the front camera, so that's a selfie camera. So that's pretty bloody good.
I was going to say, you wouldn't complain about it, would you?
Yep. Yeah, no, you wouldn't complain at all. Now, the main camera or the rear cameras, because there's more than one, they are 4K compatible cameras. They can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, or they can go to 1080p, which is your standard high-definition signal that you see on your big screen TVs,
right?
Up to 240 frames per second. So it's going to get some pretty buttery smooth slow motion there, which should be nice. It is, I think this is the first time I've ever heard of this in an Apple iPhone, dual SIM and eSIM compatible. So it'll have an eSIM that you can set up inside the phone, which means there's no physical SIM. You punch a code in, it attaches to the mobile network, and away you go. And there's still room for another SIM, a physical SIM after that.
So we're going to move at some point, I guess, from physical SIMs to virtual SIMs.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to be going towards eSIMs, as they're called. But I think having a dual
information
SIM
sorry to interrupt you there, mate. Information that's stored on those SIMs.
Yeah.
Where will that be stored? It'll just be a cloud-based system, will it?
No, it'll just be a little section of memory inside the phone set aside for the eSIM itself.
Oh, okay. So it'll still be within the phone. It's just that it'll be a virtual function rather than the physical function.
Exactly, yeah. So they'll replace this SIM, which is essentially a small electronic device, with another small, even smaller electronic device soldered into the system. And it's still going to have a socket there for yet another SIM, which is going to make the iPhone even better for traveling, which is going to be really, really cool. All right, so let's talk about the difference in the models. The iPhone 11, the standard one, starts at $1,200.
Right.
Okay, so that's the outright display. That's the outright charge.
Standard models. Come on, let's.
Oh, okay. So, but it's got a 6.1 inch screen.
Yep.
And 326 pixels per inch. Basically, it means really, really nice screen. A dual 12 megapixel camera set. So two 12 megapixel cameras. One is set up for wide, or your standard camera. The other one is ultra wide, otherwise known as 2x optical zoom out, not in.
Okay.
So it comes out, and they've also boosted the night mode performance, which is going to be great for dark light, for shooting in the dark. It's got an IP68 rating, which means you can submerge it in water up to 2 meters for 30 minutes. If you're game enough to do that with a $1,200 phone.
I was going to say, don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't try.
Please.
It'll be good for maybe a splash or walking around in the rain, as long as it's very light rain.
Of course, I suppose you're stinking rich and go, I wonder if that's true. There will be somebody who will look at this and go, I wonder if that's true. And they'll have some idea that if they immerse it in water and somehow it doesn't prove to be true, they'll be able to go back and say, can I have a free phone?
Yeah. Now, there's also another thing. So we'll talk about battery life as well. But I think I remember a time a couple of months ago, I think we were starting to talk about battery life in phones.
Well, that's always been the biggest issue, hasn't it?
It has been the biggest issue, but I think we covered the idea of battery life because they always speak in milliamp hours. And we said, I think,
which doesn't mean anything to the average person.
I know, and I think we actually came up with the idea of saying, hey, how about we start measuring it in something that everyone understands, like Netflix hours.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah, and Apple is measuring their battery life. So for the in Netflix hours, so the iPhone 11 can power your phone for up to 10 hours of Netflix, or 10 Netflix hours, as we will call it.
Now, that makes sense. We can relate to that. In other words, you could sit there watching movies for 10 continuous hours on the battery before it would cark it.
Exactly. And that's cool. So there we go. So not only do we get new iPhones, we've also got a new unit of measure for battery life, which I think is really cool.
I really like that. By the way, benaylett.com is the website. It's also where you'll find Ben's contact information. However, if you'd like to have a chat to Ben, you can do so. 92211882 is the number.
Start your day the right way.
If Mirrabooka is not the best shopping centre in Perth, what is, and why is it so good?
With Steve Mills and Basil Zemplis.
Come on. I mean, you've got to be joking. I mean, you've got Garden City, you got Carousel.
I reckon it's probably the worst shopping centre in Perth.
I go over to Mirrabooka every fortnight.
What?
All I'll say is, Steve, every now and then you've got to get out in the real world with the real people.
Breakfast with Steve Mills and Basil Zemplis. Tomorrow morning from 5 on 882 6PR. Or catch up now at 6pr.com.au.
This station endorses the Commercial Radio Code of Practice, which has been registered by the Australian Communications and Media Authority. Content on this station is regulated by the code. The code covers areas such as material not suitable for broadcast, news and current affairs, Australian music, live hosted entertainment, and the promotion of gambling during live sports. You can obtain a copy of the code by contacting this station or from the Commercial Radio Australia website, commercialradio.com.au.
The Craigie Tavern is the place to go for a great weeknight dinner. Monday and Tuesdays, grab a Carlton Draft pint for $6. Wednesday nights, enjoy schnitzel and chips for only $10. Fridays, gets a palmy and pint for only $20. Only at the Craigie Tavern, Eddystone Avenue.
Christopher's in here from 50upclub.com. The 50 Up Club's biggest ever lifetime discount on life insurance closes in 10 days. Get a quick quote at 50upclub.com before 9 p.m, September 26, and you'll receive a 22% discount on Noble Oak's My Protection plan this year, next year, and every year. You keep your fully underwritten cover issued by the award-winning life insurer, Noble Oak. Remember, you have just 10 more days to take up this offer, so act quickly. That's 50upclub.com. Any advice provided is general in nature and doesn't take into account your individual circumstances, objectives, financial situation or needs. Please read the PDS to see if this product is right for you. Find out how much you could save now at 50upclub.com.
Do you own a medical alarm that relies on a landline connection? Do you know that once NBN is connected, you may not be able to make an emergency call if there's a power failure? Here's some good news. You may be able to upgrade your system to the latest Care Alert Smart Dialer for just $99. That's a saving of over 70%. It's all thanks to the NBN Unmonitored Medical Alarm Upgrade offer. For more info on how to upgrade for just $99, go to carealert.com.au or call 1300 75 85 95.
Are you currently renting? How would you like to win your rent paid for 1 year? Well, Homestart can make it happen. This month, Homestart will be drawing one lucky renter to have their rent paid for a whole year. Just think what you could do with all that extra cash. To be in the running, simply head to homestart.net.au and register on the promotions page. It couldn't be any easier. Homestart, we are the first home buyer specialists. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Builders registration number 6415.
Until midnight on 6PR, this is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley.
We're joined by Ben Aylett talking technology. If you have any technological questions or if you have technology that's, let's put it this way, not functioning how it should, or maybe you're looking at it a bit confused, one thing Ben can do, turn it all into English.
Well,
a bit like that Netflix hours.
Yes.
How much sense does that make?
Yes. Well,
Everybody can relate to it. What's that mean? You can watch Netflix movies for 10 hours. You absolutely, it almost gives you a horizon that you can work with.
Yeah.
You know, when people talk about percentages, if I say to you it's 50% off, you have to stop and think about it. If I say it's half price, you instantly know what I'm talking about. It's a bit like that. Don't say 50% off, say half price. It just makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's using a common unit of measure that everyone understands, and that's important.
Isn't it amazing, though, that we clearly do understand what's meant by Netflix hours?
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
G'day, Norman.
Internet emails very slow for the last 4 weeks.
What?
Still dropping out. It's dropping out every week, every day of the week.
How often is it dropping out, Norman?
Every 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
And the email's
and
slow.
how long does it drop out for?
It drops out for 2 hours every day.
All right.
That almost sounds like a pattern.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, don't laugh. I've heard of stories like this happening before.
Slow.
All right.
NBN, so many emails, Joe.
Yeah, look, I will not encourage anyone to talk directly to NBN. And just anyone saying, it's NBN's fault, whatever. No. Don't even entertain any thought that involves three letters being N and B and N. They are not a customer-facing company.
No, they're a wholesaler.
Mm-hmm.
Norman, you have a carer, don't you?
Yes, I've got my parents.
Yeah, okay.
Telstra every day. My dad's called Telstra every day the last few
Okay,
weeks,
well, what happens, Norman, is I would argue, based on the fact that you're having this problem, firstly, as Ben's pointed out, NBN, no.
It's Telstra's fault.
Exactly,
right, yeah.
that's it.
And if your dad can't get help for you from Telstra, you need to go to the Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman.
Yep. Look, Norman, what we can do, if you leave a number with me, I'll pick it up from the production office before I go.
Mm-hmm.
I will get someone in Telstra in touch with you because I know a couple of people and I'm sure they'd be interested in helping you out and making sure this gets sorted out.
All right, so we'll put you back to Kira.
Yep.
Norman, and she'll grab your phone number and Ben will give you a buzz.
Yeah, because I reckon it's gone on long enough. I mean, poor Norman's been struggling with this for ages.
It has.
And it's about time we sort of held Telstra to
it's a bit like Bob the Builder. Can you fix it? Yes, I can.
Well, I'm supposed to, but I'll
I'll
try.
You're more like Terry the Tech, but you get the picture. G'day, Muzzer.
Yeah, g'day, boys. Hey, I don't know if you know this one or not, Ben, but surround sound unit. I've got a Yamaha surround sound unit. It's about probably 10 or so years old. But
nice.
It's been out of action for a little while, because when you go to switch it on, it does not come on. So would that be a fuse, or would that be something wrong with the unit itself? I'm not sure what it is.
All right, well, step one is you replace the fuse, and if it works, great, it was the fuse. If it doesn't work, then it's probably something a little more sinister. It could be a blown power supply.
Right.
And, it would involve getting a proper hi-fi technician in to have a look at it. It's, I suppose depending how expensive it is to get it repaired, it might actually be cheaper to go and just get a new amplifier.
You can get some new ones now at pretty reasonable prices, can't you?
Oh, yeah, you sure can. And look, if you're a bit short on space, and this is for a home theatre system, soundbars come up with some really good sort of quality as well. So you can spend about $200 or $300 on a soundbar and you get some pretty decent sound.
Do they sound as good as a home theatre system, though?
I'm actually quite happy with my soundbar. It works well, yeah.
Yeah, the problem is, Ben, I've got to take all the cables out. I've got to label them all first, because if I don't do that, I won't remember where they go, put them back in afterwards, and take it down to the hi-fi or Godtronic to get it fixed. So
right.
You know what I mean? If they come out, I'll charge more. But if I unplug everything, label it first and take it down, get a quote and see what happens.
Okay, so you're worried you're not going to be able to remember where to put all the cables?
Oh, no, I wouldn't. So I'd have to take every cable before I take it out, where it goes.
And that's the way you do it. You just tape it. You tape it and label it, and putting it all back together is dead easy. Also, you've obviously got a smartphone. I'm sure you have, right?
Yep.
Yeah, take photos before you unplug it as well.
Good idea, yep.
Yeah, so take double records.
Mind you, there is a question. Muzzer, behind that, is it nice, orderly cables, or does it look like a bowl of multicoloured spaghetti?
Oh, look, it's not too bad, but I had someone put it together for me years ago. My brother did it, but I wouldn't know what to do on that kind of stuff. I'm not that techno-minded, so I have to pull the actual TV unit out and do it that way, pull the bits and pieces out, get to the cables, label them before I take them out.
Tag
So it
them.
goes back in correctly.
Tag. I'll tell you the truth, mate. That's what I do. I always do that.
And when it comes to putting cables in, I pride myself in being able to put things back, and the cables look reasonably well organised. Something I've picked up over the years is that when you're plugging stuff back in, you start with the cables at the bottom, and then you work your way up. So that way you don't have this nest of cables trying to weave through itself. If you start at the bottom and work your way up the device, you actually have the cables lay nicely on top of each other, and it looks much better, and it's a lot easier to manage. So there's a little tech tip for those at home.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Ben.
No worries, mate.
Thanks very much for that, mate. Geez, I hope it's just a fuse.
Yeah, I do too, because you kind of get attached to a good amplifier, don't you?
Yeah, and some of those older amplifiers, like Muzz said, his was what, over 10 years old.
Over 10 years old, it was a Yamaha.
They were good. Some of the ones now, they're techie, but they don't have the aesthetic appeal. You know, like if you look at the AV receivers from the 1990s, for example, they look like a receiver.
Yep.
You looked at them and you thought, that's got grunt.
Yes, that's right. And you also need grunt to pick some of them up too.
Yeah, but that's all right. We can do that.
Yes, that's right.
That's all right. And there's always someone around who'll do it for you.
Yes.
And if you want someone else to pick it up, all you need to do is look weak. And they'll pick it up for you. Oh, more problems. I don't know about some of that stuff. I reckon was great.
Yeah.
It's like a mate of mine had one of those, and he had these gigantic tannoy speakers.
Yep.
I'm talking about massive.
Right.
All right. I don't know what he installed them with, but I have a suspicion a crane may have been involved. But mate, they were awesome.
Oh yeah, they are.
I mean, they
really
looked
cool.
the part. They were awesome, and man, did they have some grunt.
They sure did. Yeah.
I mean, the neighbours didn't complain. The neighbourhood complained when he was watching the movies. G'day, Bob.
G'day. Look, just a question. I've got a friend of the family who's an elderly person. She has a different sort of system with NBN than me. It's a fibre to the home. I've got fibre to the curb. So with her situation, there's a box on the outside wall where obviously the street supply comes to. And then in her lounge room, she's got another box that's got a fibre optic cable to it with a battery backup underneath it.
Yep.
Who's actually responsible for the box that's on the wall inside the house?
If you're having any problems, you're asking who do you call? Is that right?
Yeah, look, I've been in touch with Telstra. She has a phone only. She doesn't have a computer or anything like that.
Right.
They keep on trying to suggest to me. Now, the battery backup, we had an issue with that. They were blaming NBN, and NBN were blaming Telstra. I've replaced the battery, and that solved that problem. It didn't last very long, but that solved that problem. The reason I'm ringing is that the box that's above the battery backup that the fibre optic cable comes into, I would have been ashamed to install it. It's an older place with very thick plaster. The actual plugs that it's been located in the wall with hardly go through the plaster, and it's flapping around.
Jeez.
Oh, okay.
I would document it, i.e. take a photo, and then push on back to Telstra. They are your point of contact. If you've got a problem with an NBN install, doesn't matter, it's Telstra. They're your retail service provider. They're your first point of contact.
Back from pillar to post with them. Okay, I'll do that. Get back to the supplier and the
Bob,
provider.
If they keep treating you like a tennis ball, introduce them to 3 letters, TIO.
Oh, no, I'm aware of that. I just wondered who was responsible for that installation, who did it in the first place.
Yeah, ultimately it comes down to the NBN contractor. They're all paid per job, so obviously...
And they're contracted by Telstra in this particular instance.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's exactly what I'll do. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. Best of luck with it.
Thanks very much for that. That's frustrating.
I know, and I've seen...
And this is obviously someone who has a phone only, so I'm guessing we're talking about a senior. Geez, they get mucked around.
They do. They do.
922 882 is our telephone number. Gee, it can be frustrating.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. If you'd like to have a chat to Ben, by the way, his website, benaylett.com, that's where you'll find all of his contact information and your newsletter.
Newsletter, you just go to benaylett.com/contact, follow the link to sign up.
Beautiful. Sounds like a plan.
6PR Rumour File. That's where the Premier found out the news.
Be part of the John Hughes Rumour File for your chance to win $500 and go on the draw to win the all-new Hyundai Venue SUV from John Hughes. Email rumourfile@6pr.com.au and listen out during breakfast weekdays. Thanks to John Hughes, now celebrating 50 years in Victoria Park. Visit johnhughes.com.au. Deal 6061.
It's boat show time. Club Marine Perth International Boat Show is on in the city. All the latest boats and boat show specials, fishing, dive gear, new engines and electronics, big boat displays, new HSV fishing zone with Mark LaCroix. Do your skipper's ticket test at the show. Win a new Stacer boat thanks to High Tech Marine. Club Marine Perth International Boat Show this Friday, Saturday and Sunday with Late Night Trading Friday. Elizabeth Quay, Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre, and it's now at Barrick Street Jetty.
Downsizing doesn't mean sacrificing the things that make you, you. So if you love cooking but run from the sight of the dishes, we want you to do more of the things you love. That's why every one of our beautiful apartments at Bethany on the Park gives you the flexibility to choose from cooking, cleaning and linen packages, or none at all. But there's no rush to choose, because we're giving you 3 months to trial and enjoy our services for free. Call Bethany on 131 151 anytime.
Because of climate change, rainfall is decreasing. On average, we used to get 420 billion litres of rain flowing into Perth's dams each year. These days, we can expect only 25 billion litres. Climate change is real, and it's happening now. Be water wise. Search Water for Life.
City Toyota. We're your number one.
Toyotathon is on at City Toyota. There's fantastic deals across a great range like the Kluger 2-wheel drive GX from $44,990 drive away, plus get a $1,000 Toyotathon bonus. Or the Pre-Tech Change Hilux 4x2 Workmate single cab petrol manual from $22,990. Visit citytoyota.net.au.
City Toyota.
Deal 12195.
This one's for fans of the beautiful game. It will be raining goals at the 2019 Mini Football Six-a-Side Soccer World Cup. Get to Langley Park and see the world's best players from 32 countries fighting for the World Championship. Pop-up bars, massive screens and fan zones are ready and waiting. Get your tickets now at perth2019.com from $8.50 for kids and $12.50 for adults plus booking fees. 2019 Mini Football Six-a-Side Soccer World Cup, Langley Park, October 1 to 11. A federal Liberal event.
Everyone knows you can buy drugs on the internet. They're called Embomi, MXE, CMC or Flecker. They might sound fun, but they're not. They're so mind-altering they can make you do stuff you wouldn't normally do. Like kill yourself. I know. I'm Pamela from Marina Perslow Funeral Directors.
Learn more. Visit sideeffect.org.au. One pill can kill.
We don't need your business that badly.
This is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
Yeah, Ben Aylett's here to talk technology. So have you got technology is malfunctioning? Isn't it amazing those three letters just keep coming up all the time?
TIO.
And NBN.
NBN, yeah.
There's always this confusing. One thing we need to put out there, I think, is that often people will have an issue.
Yeah.
They get back in contact with their telco or ISP.
Yeah.
And they're told it's an NBN issue. And it's really hard to get through that NBN are wholesalers.
Yes.
They're not retailers.
Yeah.
So if you're with Telstra, Optus, Vodafone, whoever your company may be, Aussie Broadband, whoever it is,
yeah,
they are the people with whom you deal.
Yep.
So if you have a problem, you go back to those people. If there is an NBN issue, it's up to them to then deal with the NBN.
Exactly. Hey, look, and there's one thing that puzzles me about the NBN. One thing that's popped up, and I've questioned it. I haven't got any response back from them yet, but they're getting a booth at the Perth Royal Show.
NBN?
NBN. They've got a booth.
That is a bit puzzling, isn't it? Because once again, and all that's going to do, I think, is serve to confuse people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It
would make much more sense for the different telcos to have a booth.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
even if they had
Optus, Vodafone.
Yeah, even if they got, say, 2 or 3 booths side by side, and you sort of go here for Telstra, here for Optus, here for Vodafone, here for Aussie Broadband, whoever.
Yep.
And that being that you then can go and look at the ISP or telco that you wish.
Yeah.
But it does show that these are the front-end people.
Exactly.
And NBN are the back-end people. The best way I can describe this, let's say, for example, I don't know, you were buying Bird's Eye product.
Yes.
And you had an issue for whatever reason.
Right.
And you bought it from a supermarket, be it Coles, Woolies or Aldi.
Yep.
You are going to go back to your supermarket and raise the issue. If there is an issue that then has to be raised with the company, they would then do that.
Exactly.
They wouldn't turn around and say, oh, you're going to have to contact the company. And if they did, you'd have a right to say, no, that's not right because I bought this product from you.
Exactly, yes.
So that's really the best approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yep, absolutely.
On another matter, I like this one. I did see at the shopping centre they've got a little section there for electric cars charging. And taken Bernadette to the shopping centre, and when we came out, she said, oh, look at that, there's a couple of cars sitting in the electric bay quietly charging, obviously, while people were shopping.
Very cool.
And I see that Volkswagen have announced an electric vehicle, which is probably just as well, given their record with diesel vehicles.
Yes. So they're kind of making the whole job of keeping the emissions down easy.
Yeah, you don't have to have emissions tests.
By fully embracing and developing their very own electric vehicle platform.
And you know, because it's a German made, it's going to be good. You just know it.
Absolutely. As long as it's not diesel, you're fine. Okay, so they have announced at the Frankfurt Motor Show the ID3. Now, it's been described as being as big as a Golf on the outside, as roomy as a Passat on the inside.
As roomy as a Passat on the inside?
Yes.
Those Passats are quite roomy, you know.
They are.
Yeah.
They sure are. And apparently it'll charge as hard as a GTI.
Ooh.
So it's rolling.
I've never ridden in a GTI, but I saw one taking off from the lights one day. I was impressed.
They go like a scolded cat, as my
They
uncle
sure
would say.
do.
Yes. They're planning to have the first ones rolled out by the 2020. Somewhere between 2022 and 2025. It's expected to retail at $45,000, have 3 battery options, providing somewhere between 330 kilometres and 550 kilometres of range between charges.
See, 550, then you're starting to get to petrol levels.
Absolutely,
You're starting to get the same sort of distance that you can get with a petrol vehicle. And the thing being, most people, I would imagine, will end up charging the vehicle overnight while
At
it's
home,
in the garage.
like your phone. Yeah, so you don't have
Plug
to
it in
worry-
at night.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So you can leave in the morning with a full tank and, just keep on going for
Full charge.
Yeah, full charge. And there's also things called destination charging. So when you go and park at work, if you've done more than 225 kilometres, you probably want to plug it in at work. Or if you've done a long trip, you can also charge where you stop. And then there's charge points along the way. So I think range anxiety, especially when you're managing to squeeze 550 clicks out of a charge, it's
well, if we're getting there now, it suggests in a few years' time, we'll ease. See, once you get, say, 1,000 kilometres out of a charge, that's it. All concerns about charging are gone.
Yes.
The only other issues, of course, are going to be maintenance issues and also how long things last. I guess one of the big concerns is going to be about battery life, because something tells me that replacement batteries are going to be exorbitantly expensive.
Yes, but you also, over the lifetime of an electric vehicle, you're going to be spending way less as far as servicing goes because there's much less moving parts. There's no engine to service. And it is going to be way more cost-effective when it comes to day-to-day maintenance and driving. It's just really tyres that you've got to replace. That's it.
I actually like the idea of this because at some point it'll be really good to ring Big Oil up and tell them to get nicked. I mean, how good will that feel?
Yeah,
we don't need you anymore.
Yep, I feel a little smug every time I drive past a petrol station myself because I know I'm getting about 800 kilometres out of a tank.
You've got a hybrid, haven't you?
I've got a hybrid, yeah. So that's a best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the cool part.
What's the cool part?
The real cool part is that Volkswagen is also releasing an EV kit that will fit your Beetle, your Combi, your Porsche 365. All of the old DACs will have an electric motor in them. So they get a whole new...
How cool is that?
This is it.
So this is what I mean about German innovation. See, this is the kind of stuff Germans think about.
Yeah.
Everyone else goes, gee, why didn't we think about that?
Yep.
But they think about it.
Yeah.
Mate, we're out of time, but we are so going to have to talk some more about these electric vehicles.
We will.
It's kind of exciting. By the way, BenAylitz.com is a website. That's where you'll find all of his contact information. Talk to you next week.
I'll catch you then.
Along with AGL, we're giving you the chance to stay connected and win a new Samsung Galaxy tablet. To enter, head to 6pr.com.au and tell us who you need to stay connected with. AGL has energy plans designed especially for seniors with some very special bonuses. For all the details, head to agl.com.au/seniorsWA. And don't forget, for your chance to win a Samsung Galaxy tablet, enter now at 6pr.com.au. Remember, if you're a senior, it pays to be with AGL.
Are you ready for the next stage of your life? Ready to make it a reality? To get into it? At Now